This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
We'll do two more and then we'll wrap things up. WWE fan says if Warrior and Flair both stick around and Hogan doesn't come back, what do you think the Rumble in 93 and Mania 9 would have wound up looking like? That is sort of interesting to think no Hogan to run in at the end and you've got Warrior and Flair on the roster. What might it have looked like if you had to fantasy book real fast?
God, I don't think I would have ever wanted to see Flair and Warrior. That's for sure.
No, of course not. But you could have done Flair and Brett. That would have been interesting. And I guess Warrior Yoko, if you really wanted to pass the torch to Yoko.
Now, Warrior Yoko would have been very interesting. That definitely would have been very interesting. By the time I'd gotten back and everything happened, everything got blown up at Survivor Series, I don't know that we had even discussed at that point
what it would have been,
what the hell WrestleMania 9 was going to be. Because we hadn't even made the decision on Yoko yet.
Right. Jason says, in hindsight, would you rebook WrestleMania 10? For myself, I would have done an advertised main event.
Well, I thought that with the way that we did it, it had people guessing and you didn't know what we were going to do, but I think it was interesting enough that you wanted to tune in and see what we would do.
No, I agree with that. Kevin Dern says, was it ever considered to have Bruce as one of Vince's on-screen stooges during the Attitude Era?
No.
Why not, do you think?
I don't, Pat, Jerry, and Sarge were like official types. I wasn't. So I think that for them in that role, in that on-camera role, I think they fit that beautifully.
Kevin Dern says, you previously mentioned that you could have gone farther with Papa Shango, quote, if you were there. Can you elaborate? Did you have any cool ideas?
Oh God. It was, I would laugh and do the voodoo shit. And anybody that's Gilligan's Island fan, when the tribal chief and the voodoo guy came on the island and he made voodoo dolls out of all the 7 castaways and shit. I wanted to do shit like that. I wasn't there. I was just laughing. I wanted him to do like a voodoo doll of whoever he was working with and have the guy take bumps and shit.
Oh, that's great.
Papa Shango ever touching him and stuff like that. Wanted to do the stick pin in the voodoo and then have Warrior start puking and shit. But I wanted to see all that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And sorry about that, folks. That was my hand on the microphone because I move around. I talk with my hands a lot, even though you can't see me talking with my hands. I talk with my fucking hands. Had my hair done this morning. But stuff like that, just really hokey things that all of you would have shit on.
No, I love that. What you just laid out was tremendous. Tim Burr says, on Joe Rogan's podcast, The Undertaker confirmed he thought he was going to be Eggman. He also said Vince had the gimmick for some time waiting for the right guy. I don't think Tim Burr was watching the same episode, but did you see Rogan and The Undertaker's conversation? What did you think of his conversation about Eggman?
I did. And, I know Mark's paranoia about that, which was kind of funny, which was one of the reasons that we just got to let him think that for a while. But, I've heard this theory that Vince always had this Undertaker gimmick. And maybe he did. When you look at the character and how it came and that was, what am I going to do with this guy? And I was being very selfish in my end, looking for someone to manage and really wanting to manage Mean Mark at the time. Vince came up with the character name, The Undertaker. Vince, the look and all that shit, other than, I wanted him all in black. So it was definitely a collaborative effort. And I've heard, Black Bart talk about how, I was the original Undertaker. I turned that shit down. Make more money working the sportatorium on a Wednesday night. I don't think that happened.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine that being a thing. What was the contingency, if any, you had for the 94 Royal Rumble if Bret's feet did hit first?
Well, we had it covered camera wise that if they didn't, they would have, that there at least could have been controversy. We just wouldn't have shown those shots. But from our vantage point, had a lot of faith in Bret, and Bret nailed it. That was all on Bret.
Had Vince not gone with Bret as the next big face of the company during the 90s, who else do you think would have slid into that role?
There was discussion about Tito. I wonder, had we had our backs against the wall, whether or not we would have just said, let's go with Shawn. Because Shawn was creeping up there, and maybe we might have gone with Shawn at that time had we not gone with Bret.
Kevin Dern says, were there any stars who debuted when you weren't with the WWF who didn't have vignettes that you would have liked to have created vignettes for? For better or worse, Bruce, you've sort of become known amongst wrestling fans online as the vignette guy because you did the Mr. Perfect ones and the DiBiase ones, et cetera, et cetera. Was there a character that popped up while you weren't around that you thought, man, I could have did something cool with that?
Probably Finn Balor would be one back in the day. And I don't know because I didn't, I don't know. It was fringe watching at the time, not really studying.
Right. Pinder J says, was Goldust hurt during the backlot brawl at WrestleMania 12? My first live event in many years was the following month at In Your House, Good Friends, Better Enemies, and he was supposed to wrestle the Undertaker. I'm sure he was. There was some real physicality in that. He had to come out of that with some bumps and bruises and scrapes.
Well, shit, we immediately went to the hospital after everything was done. Everybody checked out. Piper's wrist was broken. Goldust was fine. Oh, yeah, it was great. And then we went to that famous Jewish deli in Hollywood. Barry's or something. I don't know, but everybody in Hollywood will probably correct me. Both my friends there will say, no, you dumbass. But it was great because you had Dustin and Piper and me and Vince, and we're sitting there eating
pastrami sandwiches
or whatever. And and matzo ball soup.
Let's talk a little bit about, Sting for a moment. This is a great question. We've probably talked about this before, but it's worth revisiting. Union Jack says, was the WWF ever close to signing Sting away from WCW? And if so, when was that happening?
Well, we had talks in 88. We had talks, at different times about, hey, Steve, would you be interested in coming over? They just never got further than talks, and they never really materialized beyond that. At the same time, we had Warrior, and I believe that Vince looked at it as, well, I've got Warrior. What do I need another Warrior for? And I think that Sting kind of looked at it like that. Like, Warrior's doing our gimmick up there. I'll do it down here. And there was a comfort. There was a comfort with WCW and Sting.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.